let's start with Team USA, fellas. Case.
Getting right into it. All right, welcome to the Devils portion of the World Junior Championship. I did not talk about them in the first episode, Group A, but I will be talking about them in Group B because there's two viable options on Team USA that you could take that are Devils prospects, both playing on the same team. But one of them is being talked about in redrafting of his draft class, going number 1 overall due to potential, and that is Luke Hughes. Surprised I didn't hear anything from Harper after I just said that he should have went over Owen Power.
I think it's too early.
I tune that out.
I think it's too early to conclude that.
It's not based off play, it's based off potential that people are saying this.
Right.
I just want to, like I did with the Stankoven, I'm going to talk about some accolades from last season. Luke Hughes, this will be NCAA All-Rookie Team, NCAA Champion, NCAA Rookie of the Year, NCAA Second All-Star Team, Second All-American Team, Top Collegiate Player, Hobey Baker Finalist, World Junior Championship, Top 3 player on a team for USA last year. He will play 30 minutes a night for this team and is going to be looked upon to be the leader. He is the captain of this team. Expect big things from Luke Hughes in the World Junior Championship.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that he's going to play 30 minutes a night because that's what I wanted to bring up. Like, he's going to be the horse on the back end. He is going to be relied on in every situation, predominantly offensively, but I would imagine he will be in both zones at all times, or at least as much as his lungs can handle. I remember in the summer tournament, Mike Johnson was kind of going crazy because Luke Hughes was on the ice for so much in one. It was one of their games, and he got hurt. Kind of Luke Hughes did, and Mike Johnson just kept commenting on the fact that Hughes was limping around out there, and because he was injured, but he was still one of the best skaters on the ice. And
that is the thing about Luke Hughes, man, is he is. Man, you talk about Quinn and Jack, how fluid of skaters they are. They just kind of like prance around the ice. They're so fun to watch when they get up to full speed. Even like full speed looks like nothing to them. And then Jack playing 6 minutes and not even looking winded. While Luke Hughes has a bit of both of Quinn and Jack in him. The skating is there. They all skate together in the offseason. You can tell because his stride is just beautiful. And he loves to dish the puck around, but he likes to shoot like Jack. So he's got that Quinn-Jack mix. And man, am I excited for him to play in New Jersey.
Yeah, and he's got the size that the other two don't, which is always an added bonus, right, with a skilled player. The way that he walks the blue line when he gets the puck off the boards is gross. Like, he's one of the fanciest players with his footwork that I've seen in a while, at least among defensemen. It's like, picture PK Subban walking the blue line and then crumple up that image and throw it a million miles away because it's the complete opposite of that. It's the most fluid strides. It's getting the edges nice and, to stay in around the blue line. Like, it's talent, it's skill, it's offensively minded. It's beautiful to watch, really. And every time I watch him play, that's what I think of, his skating. And not to pump your tires anymore here, Case, but he's one of my favorite players to watch because he does have the characteristics that his brothers have. They're just explosive and exciting to watch. So definitely will be a player that my eyes will be glued on because if you're watching a Team USA game, I don't think you're going to have a choice because he's going to be on the ice. Yeah. And when he's on the ice, he makes things happen. So we'll definitely be watching Luke Hughes.
I thought he would have made the Devils this year, honestly.
He made a choice after the draft, basically saying, I'm going to play another 2 years in the NCAA. And that was his choice. And honestly, I respect that and I appreciate it. It's like that step of becoming a defenseman at that age in the NHL, it just, we see it doesn't work out very often. Mm-hmm. And I don't mind him getting this extra bit of, tune-up before he makes the NHL.
Well, he took the same path that Quinn did, and I think we can all agree that that's worked out pretty nicely for Quinn, even though there's been some ups and downs and some struggles and some hurdles for Quinn to get over these past few years playing with Vancouver. I think we can all say that we recognize how good Quinn is, and if his brother is following the same footsteps and, you know, going to be this similar kind of player on the back end, like that can only be a positive thing.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, to that point, I think the only difference is that Luke has the size.
Yes.
And, you know, he's certainly developing like his brother has, and wearing the number 43, of course, like Quinn, and which is cool to see. And he's got that perfect combination, like just that long reach, but also mobile as well. And you look at teams that win Stanley Cups, and in this case, teams that win gold medals at the World Juniors, they have those big, long, mobile defensemen, and he certainly is that. Casey mentioned 2 Devils prospects on this blue line. The other is Seamus Casey, correct?
Yes. Correct.
So, yeah, he's another good one. But and really, again, like, obviously Hughes is at the top, and like it's been a dream for U.S. defensemen here for them. Like, you've got Jake Sanderson, who's an absolute horse for them, and then you've got Luke, who's going to be just a monster for them on the back end. But Seamus Casey, like I mentioned, Ryan Chesley, nice second round pick of the Washington Capitals, and so on and so forth. But yeah, he's going to be a horse for this team, and he'll be on the Devils sooner rather than later, and it's going to be good to watch him in this tournament for sure.
Yeah, the Devils are loaded on the back end, and Seamus Casey, like going into last year's draft, like I was almost certain that the Devils were going to pick Seamus Casey. It just made so much sense because of Casey, and because I wanted the Leafs to pick him with their early second rounder after trading down to Chicago in the Mrazek deal, and then they ended up taking Fraser Minton. I don't know if Casey was off the board at that time. I'm not sure, but I remember thinking to myself, that's the player I want the Leafs to take. Good mobile defenseman.
Well, it makes a lot of sense when you're in when you're watching Michigan play so much because of Luke, that you're gonna see Seamus Casey play. And then Ethan Edwards was, I think, committed to them at the time, so now they have 3 defenseman prospects playing for Michigan. Fun little fact, quick tangent here. Michigan started their backup goalie as a winger the other night.
I saw that
because of illness to the team.
I saw that.
They had such few players that they had to get someone in there, and they started their backup goalie.
So how does that even happen? Like, how are you not able to call someone up from somewhere, or like sign a guy to a day contract? You know,
were you going to give them a scholarship?
Is there not a player at the university who played like junior A or something?
Right.
That's what I'm thinking of, and then you just sign them to the team
contract. You think they'd have a practice squad or something?
Like, and they, even at U of T,
or like
they have a practice squad.
Extramural.
Yeah.
Extramural.
Intramural.
Well, yeah, but okay.
Intramural.
There's one more than that.
Oh, okay. Well, that's what I was thinking. At least find a guy who's playing the top level, at their school, who played like even junior A or something. I feel like that would be common, no?
Yeah, anyways, Devil's Backhand is going to be an absolute wagon here sooner or later. And I'm going to talk about another one in a bit just to spoil that.
Yeah, I mean, good pick. Like, I think we should mention...
Low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, I think we should mention, because this is a separate episode from the first one, we mentioned this last episode, but not this one, that in these episodes, how we typically do it is we pick players who... are going to be players to watch at this upcoming tournament. Might not be the best players on the team, or in Casey's case, probably is the best player on the team, the low-hanging fruit. It might be a player with an interesting storyline going in to the tournament. It might be a player who is draft eligible, who is going to be exciting, but might not get that much playing time. But could excite in the few minutes that they do play. So we're not necessarily picking the best players available here. We're picking players who are interesting and that we're going to want to watch. And hopefully through these episodes, we're able to, educate some people about some players who you might not have heard of before this. So there's a lot of different angles that you can approach this episode at, and that's kind of how we're doing it. Sometimes we pick the best player, sometimes we pick an interesting player. So just wanted to get that out there because we didn't mention it. this episode. We kind of just hopped into it. But yes, Luke Hughes, definitely a player that my eyes will be glued to in this tournament, for sure.
All right, let's have yours.
Yes, the player that I'm going to talk about is a player that I talked about last year, actually, in this episode, the same one that we did, because he was one of the youngest on the team last year. And similarly this year, he is one of the younger players on the team, not the youngest, but one of now. He's draft eligible in this upcoming draft. He's projected to go in the first round. It's Charlie Stramel, by the way. He played one game in the summer tournament, and he had a point, so I guess that's good for what it's worth. He has 7 points in 18 games played for Wisconsin in the NCAA this year, but at 6'3", 216 pounds, he had 42 PIMs in those 18 games this year in the NCAA. So this isn't going to be a guy, I don't think anyways, that's going to light it up for the U.S. I think he's going to be playing more of a bottom six role as still one of the younger guys eligible to be drafted this year and clearly has that offensive potential up front if he's being projected to go within the first round. But I think if we're looking at him in this tournament, the first thing you're going to notice is he could be a guy to mix it up when the going gets tough for the USA. He could be a guy in the bottom six that's annoying to play against and might get into some trouble. So Charlie Stramel is the guy I'm going to be watching on Team USA.
I think this winger pairing is a pairing I bring up probably every year when we have this episode, but this sounds like a Zach Cassian, Cody Hodgson type winger that Canada had and really kind of showed some grit in the World Juniors, which is just not a thing you see often. And, well, here's your opportunity with a big guy like Stramel.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, I feel like there aren't, like, this upcoming draft is not as stacked with Americans in the first round as in years past.
Yes.
But I do think that this kid will be a first round pick in the upcoming draft. And hey, like, you always want a guy with some edge, and that's really good for a team wanting to come in and win this tournament, and a team that's got a good shot at it. So
yeah, and Stramel is a guy who is projected to go, from most accounts, about the mid third or mid first round rather.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen him projected as high as 8th overall. So I don't know if he goes that high, but I think a mid first rounder would be the proper place for him. And definitely a guy I wanted to watch. I was intrigued last year when he was the youngest player on the team, undrafted, and I'm still intrigued this year to watch him.
Speaking of guys who I think could mix it up, but I look at this guy as just being one of those classic power forwards in this tournament. The guy I'm going to mention as a player to watch for Team USA is Cutter Gauthier. First round pick of the Philadelphia Flyers, and it's nice to have a Flyers player in there just because it's been so god awful there the last couple of years, and torts and the rest of it, and they really need something from their prospects, and they need to continue to get more prospects. But Cutter Gauthier seems to be a good one, and there was a chance that he could have gone 3rd overall to Arizona in the last draft. He's an Arizona kid, you know, big power forward. Again, I've mentioned before, that's what Bill Armstrong likes. But he ends up going 2 spots later to the Philadelphia Flyers. Very much fits their MO of just big, nasty, and but he can also score. He's over a point per game right now with Boston College in the NCAA, and I think will be a big part of this very good U.S. attack. Yeah,
he reminds me of. I'll go ahead and piss off some Americans, hopefully listening, and say he's Mason McTavish light in the way that he plays the game. He's got a nose for the net, and like really, like you said, like the power forward kind of that. Not many of that kind left, but he's got a drive to the net, and he's got the opportunity to kind of bully his way around the ice, at least from what I remember of him, like when I was looking into him heading into the draft.
Yeah, an interesting storyline about this player is that I think coming out of the draft, some people were scratching their heads that he went so high, 5th overall to Philadelphia. I think especially a lot of analytic-minded people were scratching their heads for this pick, taking Cutter Gauthier 5th over some uber-talented players. But listen, that's all part of the story, and that's all part of why it's going to be interesting to watch him at this year's tournament. Can he be relied on to be a point producer for this team? Can he be an engine, whether he plays in the top 6, bottom 6, middle 6, wherever he plays? Can he drive a line? Is he worthy of being that 5th overall pick in the most recent draft? We don't know at this point, obviously, but it's on Cutter Gauthier to kind of prove it to us, because, again, I think it wasn't exactly a safe pick for Philadelphia, but I think there were reasons they did make that pick. Clearly, they like the way he plays, and he plays a Philadelphia Flyers style of hockey. There's a reason Travis Konechny is a great Flyer, because he plays the same style. The thing I will say about the Flyers as we wrap up about Cutter Gauthier is maybe the only player who is more fit for Philadelphia to be drafted there is a player in this upcoming draft, Will Smith, projected to be drafted in the top 10 of this upcoming draft. How funny would it be if Will Smith was drafted to Philadelphia if they were picked, say 5th overall, 7th overall, something
Fresh
like
Prince going on.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad someone got it. I don't think Harper got that at all, but I thought that was that was perfect. So,
I got it.
Okay, making sure. But yeah, Cutter Gauthier, it'd be an interesting player to watch. There's a little bit of a revenge arc there to silence the doubters.
Yeah, exactly. Honorable mention too, Tyler Boucher, I think, of the Ottawa Senators, in a bit of a similar spot, bit of a head scratcher with how high he was drafted as well, bigger forward.